When pinball calls, you answer.
Unfortunately, Don couldn't be on this intro. We were riding tandem on this rinky-dink scooter. We were going to an arcade in Virginia, and I made the mistake of letting Don navigate. And we ended up going 2 hours in the wrong direction. Sadly, along the way, Don accidentally swallowed a huge June bug, or maybe it was more likely a cicada. So his throat is all jacked up now, and he's taking a break from talking for a while. However, Don totally redeemed himself because he ended up buying a pinball machine from the arcade that we eventually went to. So this episode is about Don's search for a game. A man cannot live on hook alone. Eventually, Don did get a new game, and we will be talking about that in a future episode. So this is actually one of the first things we recorded a couple months ago, but then Jaws happened, John Wick happened, Pinfest happened, so now we're all caught up, and here we go with episode 7.
Here we go! Come on in.
Welcome to the Theater of Magic.
Welcome to the party zone.
Welcome to my home.
Welcome to the Bash.
Yeah, so you only owned Hook previously, first and only game that you ever had. Purchased approximately 2018. Yep. So you've been surviving 100%. Off of the one game plus many arcade visits, I guess, for quite a while now.
You know, if it was up to me, man, I would have a new game every day. I just can't afford it.
Yeah, that is the main issue with pinball games and acquiring them. So there's a lot of games on the market right now. You had kind of been looking at these early 2000 Sterns.
So I remember there was a Monopoly listed. I actually really liked that one. I liked all the little toys and gadgets and the extra things that it has that make it unique.
Yeah, Monopoly is cool.
I played that one time before in Raleigh.
Yeah.
At this random little bar on Hillsborough Street, near the college.
Okay.
But the people were nice, and they had two or three games. One, which was Monopoly, and I never played it before, so I actually went there, probably their best customer.
Yeah.
And just to play that game, because I didn't find it anywhere else. So I wonder if maybe that game has anything to do with it, but there was one for sale, and that was heavily thinking about buying that one.
Yeah, you had a little rotation. So there was the first one that came up was a Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Rollercoaster Tycoon, yeah.
And so what is it about that era of games that you like?
I think that's when I really got into it. I think maybe that was close to when maybe a couple years after I'd seen my dad.
Okay.
So I was a little bit older, and it kind of became my own thing now. After a couple years, it kind of became, I became pinball.
You did. Do you think it has to do with Lord of the Rings?
It's right around there.
Because that was 2003.
It's right around there.
That was one of your favorites?
That is my favorite.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's hard to pick a favorite. So just the way the multi-balls are set up, where you can kind of, not stack them, but you can basically hit them one after another, right?
Yeah, it's like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah. And so you can line them all up to where you're basically one shot away from each multi-ball, and you can start one immediately within the end of the other one, basically, right? It is an intense multi-ball.
You got a multi-ball for each film, right?
Exactly. And but it just feels, it'll be like jackpot 1, jackpot 2, jackpot 3, and it kind of builds and it makes you feel excited. So when I also figured out on my own. I didn't look up the rules. I just played it every once in a while. I realized, if I spell keep, lock lights up. If I get it up in the right ramp, it'll lock a ball. Mm-hmm. So it feels exciting and kind of rewarding to figure it out on your own. And then when that multi-ball happens and you're hitting all these jackpots, and it's exciting.
And then the ring shot, of course.
Oh man, the ring shot, yeah. But anyways, that's how I learned about it, and I love it.
Yeah, so were you a fan of the movies before the game?
Yeah. It's funny, I wasn't the biggest fan when it came out.
Okay.
Now as an adult, as an older person, I think I was 16.
Okay, yeah.
So after 30, I would say, now I'm a pretty big fan, as I got older.
Yeah.
Even when I watch them now, the films, I love them. I think they're masterfully done and beautiful. And
have you read the books?
No. I mean, a little bit.
Not a true fan.
I'm not a true fan.
No, but it is your favorite pinball game, and that's
But hey,
what we're talking about.
I'm an ally.
So that era is special to you in particular. But also, it does seem like early 2000 Stern games are when Stern was still acting like they had competition.
Yeah, Family Guy.
Yeah, but like,
would that not be early?
Family Guy was 2007.
2006. Okay, yeah, never mind.
So that's a little later. But it's like Stern hadn't given up yet. It feels like at some point they were like, oh wait, we have no competition and demand is low. It's like we don't have to try very hard. And I think that's when you got into all the like photoshopped games. And
you know which game, and I think this is what you're talking about, was really disappointing to me, was Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, yeah.
Is that the area you're talking about?
I think that's 2008. Yeah, I think it wasn't till like Metallica that the artwork started getting better in the games.
How do you feel about the Family Guy like mini pinball?
Now that was cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest, like extra play field.
Oh God, that's good.
The way it plays in the game, it just makes sense and it's simple and it's kind of, it's not so crazy.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that made me love that game.
But really, like that whole era of games, there's a lot of games that aren't super highly regarded.
So Williams closed in like 2000. They had that Star Wars Episode 1 game. Is what like the last...
Yeah, the Star Wars Episode 1 and Revenge from Mars were the two Pinball 2000 games.
Pinball 2000, that was like the new system that they were trying to move on to.
Yeah, and I think they came out in 99 maybe.
Gotcha.
And then Williams closed down, and then it was just Stern. So Stern still kept kind of like really high, like pretty high standards. Like Williams, there's a lot of stuff in those games. Yeah. Like Rollercoaster Tycoon, it's loaded with stuff. It's not like the super highest quality stuff ever, but it's a ton of stuff. Like compared to a new Stern game, early 2000 Sterns look like Jersey Jacks compared to the modern Stern games.
I get you. It's true.
So yeah, I mean, it seems, I guess like all that to say is like those games do seem like a good value relative to like, if you want a Jersey Jack game designed by Pat Lawler, like Toy Story 4 or something, it's like $13,000 or $14,000 or something crazy. And you could buy, Monopoly for like $4,000.
Do you think those Stern games are more fun than the current Stern games, even though they're more simple?
I don't know if I guess they're shallow, like code wise, comparatively speaking.
It was more accessible as a newbie.
Modern games are expensive and they want to give you the most value for your money.
Sure.
So they make them as complicated as you can reasonably make them. And I guess that's where you run into trouble is like, well, what do you think is a reasonable level of complicated?
It's different when you own it, but I'm not going to own it. Like I have to go out and play it. So if I can't figure it out and have fun right away, it feels almost like I could play something else, that might be more rewarding, like more skill rewarding, right? Instead of trying to put my money and figure this one out.
Then is the game doing a good enough job of explaining itself to you while you're playing it? And that's hard.
That's a challenge.
And now for a word from our sponsor.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Game Boy comes complete with batteries and the outrageous new game Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use Video Link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
And now, back to the show.
Okay, the other games you were looking at, though. So you were looking at Monopoly, Rollercoaster Tycoon, and then Ripley's came up for sale.
Ripley's Mon.
And all three of these games, I think the Rollercoaster Tycoon was like $3,600.
It was a good deal at 36.
Yeah, the other ones were about $4,000.
Yeah, they're about 43 or somewhere between 4,000, 4,300.
Yeah. Which is, it's a pretty good deal. But none of those are, well, so Ripley's, I guess, maybe a top 100 pinside game right now.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. And the other two are not as highly ranked. Maybe I'd have to own them to know why, but they all seem kind of equally fun, just like playing them briefly. But yeah, the other ones are like in the 200s or something. They're much higher. They're like page 3 pinside.
Right.
Maybe Monopoly's higher. I think Rollercoaster Tycoon is the worst rated one.
I wonder how much accessibility and just common frequency of being out and about bases those ratings, because I mean it could be a game that's kind of rare, but there's not enough feedback, so it could be theoretically a better rated game if it had the same amount of.
I mean certainly the new games get a big bump because they get, you know, all these new people buying them and rating them and wanting to keep the values high, and so they give them high ratings. And I think it's just, you know, some games don't click with the general population as much as others, and those games just get lower ratings, you know?
Forgotten about. We need to be like the Pinball Jesuses.
How's that?
Pinball Jesuses, right?
Jesus?
Jesus.
You mean like being the spreading the good word?
Yes, of all these games that were forgotten about.
Yeah, the page 3 pin side. There's a lot of good games on there, like Rollercoaster Tycoon. That game would easily be probably in my top 100, I think.
Really?
I bet it would be. Yeah. It's fun. It's a ton of fun. Like, it's got a stupid, like, troll on it for some reason.
That thing creeped me out.
But it's got like 4 ramps. It's Pat Lawler. It's fun, you know?
I wish it would have reminded me more of the game. When I actually heard the audio, it didn't bring back the memories of the game that I thought it would.
Well, it's like I don't know the history of that game, but it feels to me like Pat Lawler wanted to make a circus carnival game.
That's exactly what
he
did.
And then they were like, well, what license can we stick with that?
I see.
I'm sure that's what it is. Because it's 100%. And even in the advertising, they say in the tradition of, you know, like carnival themed, like Cyclone and the Williams games. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a spiritual successor to Cyclone / Hurricane / Comet.
Maybe they already made a carnival game and they just needed a license, like you said.
Yeah, no,
I'm threw the name on there.
That's what it was, because when in the Williams days, I don't think Pat Lawler was ever allowed to make one of the carnival games, because that was like specific to other designers. Like they all had their kind of wheelhouse that they were allowed to play in. And like Barry Ausler and Python Angelo did Comet and Cyclone, and then Hurricane. Yeah, anyway, there was a kind of a specific team, and it was like, if you want, everybody kind of had dibs on certain types of themes in the Williams days.
Unofficially.
Yeah, kind of unofficially.
It was kind of like Respect or...
Yeah, but like if Pat Lawler wanted to make a circus game, and that's like totally up his alley, like all his, I mean, look at Toy Story 4.
Like his style,
his style is very carnival-y, circusy. So he was like, had all this pent-up circus energy from working at Williams and not being able to make a circus game. And so as soon as he starts working for Stern, you know, when Williams closes, like 2-3 years later, he's like, boom, got my circus game.
Hey, bucko, heads up.
Oh, geez, what is it, Rudy? Hey, listener, it's Rudy from Funhouse. I guess he thinks we accidentally left him off of this conversation about carnival games.
That was no accident.
Oh, what, you think Funhouse was Pat Lawler's first carnival game? There's no roller coaster, no Ferris wheel, no Dunk the Dummy.
Stop it! I thought we were pals.
We are pals, but let's be realistic here. A Funhouse is just one attraction that may or may not even be at a carnival.
Big deal.
The big deal is that you're interrupting this show and making it all about yourself.
This is really starting to annoy me.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what annoys me? Your giant freaking head taking up 2/3 of the playfield. Roadshow does it way better and has 2 heads.
That's not funny.
Do you hear me laughing?
You.
Fuck me. Fuck you. You fucking third-rate ventriloquist dummy's head. You don't even have a body.
I'm not happy with you now.
Oh, what are you going to do? Your head is stuck to a 300-pound pinball machine.
Holy.
Oh, you spit all over. Oh, that's it.
Hey, come back here. Don't go near the... Hey, buddy, stop it.
Okay, sorry for the rude interruption, but I guess now's as good a time as any to mention that it was just announced that Funhouse is getting a full remake from Pedretti Games, so that's exciting news, especially if you like giant talking heads on the playfield. Anyway, back to the show.
I mean, by the way, I wish they would have done like State Fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like that would have been a great theme.
Yeah, State Fair would be way better.
I mean, you get the Ferris wheel that you would get in Rollercoaster Tycoon. Just put that in there.
Yeah, you got Ferris wheel. You could have the Gravitron, like the spinning thing.
Yeah, I got sick on that.
Yeah, because CSI, another like not well loved game from the early 2000s Sterns. Actually, I think it's 2006. CSI has a centrifugal like spinner thing.
Yeah, the centrifuge.
The centrifuge, yeah. Yeah, so that game has a centrifuge, which spins the ball rapidly, which would be the same thing. You could use the same mechanism for the Gravitron.
State Fair, man. Here we go. This is like, I think, the second theme that third, maybe fourth original theme that we, somebody buy this.
Well, what theme would you put on it now? Because you can't just do State Fair. It won't
State
sell.
Fair USA.
It's there's no global appeal for that, Donald.
Man, well, you're right. You're right.
But you can see how they ended up with Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Does it have global appeal?
Does it have global appeal?
Rollercoaster Tycoon it is.
And now for an important message.
Stay with me! I'm on you like glue! All right!
Hi, guys. Can I skate with you?
Nah, you're just a girl.
No kidding.
Go-ho!
Let her try. You might be surprised.
Okay, but...
Thanks.
Wow, look at that!
Don't judge people till you give them a chance.
Because there's a chance you could be wrong. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! And now, back to the show.
We were talking about 2000s games, right? And then the ones that were up for debate on what I might purchase.
Yeah, so just to your surprise, 3 Pat Lawler games.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny that you sort of like, I want this game or this one or this one. It's like, Don, you know, those are all Pat Lawler games.
I didn't, right? But he's definitely the common factor because those are games that have left a lasting impact on me after playing them once. Yeah. And I think that's a pretty important quality to have in a game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's some kind of master of just like fun factor.
So, he's definitely then the common thread for me, because those games, for whatever reason, they're memorable, and I remember them, and I somehow subconsciously even put them in a log of like positive game or wanting to have this game.
Yeah, yeah. So all 3 of those are licensed themes, but none of them feel like, Terminator 2 or Star Wars or something like that. They're not big licenses. They're kind of like, they all feel that same way, like, oh, well, I designed an adventure game in an Indiana Jones style, and okay, let's make that Ripley's Believe It or Not. Or I designed a circus game, let's make that roller coaster. They feel like that more than you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger's head up in the corner, and you've got all the very, very specific theme type of things that everybody's so familiar with. I guess you have a little more leeway with the theme if it's not something that's so beloved and like part of the consciousness of the entire world.
Right. And like you kind of already have a storyline that you have to adhere to. With the hard licenses like Terminator, like what's going to happen. You just kind of got to work with the story and how it plays out. So
but like Ripley's, you've got like a random Jamaican guy doing call outs, and he's super cool. So like, I love that guy.
I don't get that guy, man.
Yeah, no, it sounds cool though, but no one's like, oh yeah, Ripley's, that's the voice we need.
Is there like a thing, like an episode of the show or something in the book?
I don't think
about Jamaica or that guy.
I'm assuming it's just. They could do whatever they wanted, essentially, and they just picked that. So ultimately, you were like just a little on the fence about any of those games, and we played the VPX ones.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I think so. You kind of show. I didn't even know this existed, right? Yeah. Like the whole VPN.
VPX, right? Not a virtual private network.
Private network. I didn't realize that was like a thing, like a whole platform. And here I am thinking, arcade effects or what's Pinball effects? Is that the...
Yeah, Pinball effects, Zen Pinball,
Zen Pinball, yeah. No, it's pretty neat. And I think it's thanks for showing me that. And I think it's a good way to play the games without necessarily having access or, and it's free.
Yeah. The legalities of it are, whatever.
Well,
but yeah, so you played all 3 of those, right? On VPX.
So the first thing that a virtual private network taught me was playing Rollercoaster Tycoon. The music, man.
Yeah.
I just was not vibing.
Yeah.
It was not my jam, and then it felt like you said more like a carnival game.
Yeah.
I was looking for the game I used to play where I would build roller coasters, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose, try to kill people. Mm-hmm. And, because I would get mad because they would never throw the trash away. They would put it in the sidewalk instead of in the trash cans.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I never played that game.
Then you make the coasters, right? And then you basically make one more expensive than the other. And the cheaper one, you basically make like a death loop. And then like all the people that are trashing your park, you just kill them. Anyways, like that's how much I play that game, is where I develop strategies for like alternate games and alternate fun. But the core game is like theme park, but it was cool because it was one of the first ones where you could actually design your own roller coaster in a way that was easy, right? As a kid. Because I always thought roller coasters were cool, and that would be like my dream job, right? Is designing roller coasters. So the game kind of let me have that.
So in a way, the theme of Rollercoaster Tycoon in a pinball game kind of was a disservice in your mind to the game that you knew. Yeah,
I don't know, man. It just didn't feel the same. It didn't have the same, I guess, spirit, you know? Because Rollercoaster Tycoon wasn't a carnival. It wasn't a fair, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, it feels kind of duct taped together in that game a little bit.
And I just, you know, the ramps are cool, but they also, to me, didn't really feel like roller coasters, I guess. They're trying to have like roller coasters. And
it does have the one where the ball comes all the way down and under the flippers, right?
So that was the coolest thing. Yeah. That was the one part I felt like I was in a tunnel in roller coaster or something. But I don't know, man. I just didn't feel, you know, like I was riding a roller coaster.
Yeah, now I will say, when you get a multi-ball and it has like the screaming sound effects of a roller coaster, it's actually pretty fun.
Really?
I had fun doing that part. But I mean, and I've played a real one and it was fun. Like, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
I think for $3,500, it's a more fun game than a lot of $3,500 games.
Yeah.
No question.
I can see that. That's why I was interested in it.
Because Lord of the Rings is $11,000.
Correct.
And it's not $7,500 better than Rollercoaster Tycoon.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not.
So yeah, that was a strong contender for a while until I played it in the VPN.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
VPN. Yeah, and Monopoly. So the thing that got me about Monopoly when I played it on VPX is that Pat Lawler really took his Gophers layout and just kind of kept a lot of the same elements for Monopoly, which makes sense because Gophers didn't sell that well because it was the end of kind of like pinball in the 90s era. And that was a cool layout. Like, let's use it again. But the right ramp and the left ramp and the other ramp, like three of the ramps are in basically the same. And the upper right flipper, the way it hits the left ramp and the way the balls return are very similar to Gophers. Like, if I didn't have Gophers, I wouldn't care at all. But it's just like I've hit all those shots a lot already.
For me, if I found out one game felt just like another one, ruined.
Yeah.
Like a song. Like I hear a song, oh, this is a sample. Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like
It's like, oh, you can play these two Nickelback songs on top of each other at the same time and you can't tell that there's two songs happening.
Yeah, like what they layer on YouTube, right? There's tons of videos. Like they layer like 4 songs on top of, they literally, even the tempo, they didn't even adjust the time.
They're hilarious. I love it.
That's I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. It's the fun. I don't want to lose the fun. And I think you're right. I think there's a middle ground where I can know enough and still maybe technically get by and fix things. And I don't want to know that the game is exactly the same as the other one. I kind of wish I didn't know that. Are you catching what I'm saying though? I hope you are.
Yeah, 100%, because I have this problem with music where, because I've listened to too much music on a technical level with editing music, mixing music, all of these things that you have put yourself into a different headspace and hear a song in a way that's not music anymore.
Yeah.
And then when you disconnect yourself from this work that you're doing, then you later hear a totally different song, but you're still hearing it in that like analytical, this is work for me.
It makes it hard to enjoy music. There's one element that doesn't sound quite right. That's all you're going to focus on for the whole song. For me, recently, the like over compression on the whole mix is the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about like, there's a major artist, I'm not going to hate. The single dude, it's crunching. It's munching and crunching the whole, and it's like the lead vocal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when the kick hits or whatever, like that bass drum, it's just like, I feel like I'm getting choked, and I don't know how that's even.
So apparently, some people just like that now. Like it's a
sounds
style.
Horrible.
I don't know how you like it, but some people do.
Instantly loses dimension, and it hurts. It gives me a headache.
And so, saying all that being said, we're talking about the same kind of thing, right? Feeling like if you get into the weeds of pinball too much, you won't appreciate it as much as you did.
I think I'm finding a nice middle ground.
Yeah.
I think I'm there. You know, I think I'm at the point where I feel I can learn a little more, but I don't want to learn that much more.
You're just gonna have to tune me out sometimes. Like, I mean, this might be a problem, Donald. This might be a problem.
Is this the last episode?
So, like, especially if we do an episode that gets a little technical or gets into the weeds or something, you're really gonna absorb that information. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you know what, man? I'm willing to risk it.
You're gonna risk it.
YOLO.
I mean, because
you only live once.
I don't think it's going to mess anything up for you. I think you will have a deeper appreciation for it, and that's it.
I mean, I think you're right.
But
I'm zooming out. A little bit.
Yeah, zoom out a little bit.
A little more.
Okay.
One more time.
Where are we at? Are we at like 10x?
I'm maxed out. I think it's going to be great. I'm actually really excited about it.
Occasionally there will be downsides, like the aforementioned, these ramps are exactly the same as the ramps on that other game. But, pinball designers, great as they were, sometimes they kind of phoned it in. Even the Sterns coming out now, they're like, talking about how they repurpose things from other games. Yeah. It's just part of being creative, I guess. But also like keeping costs down.
True. The same mechanism, and it works this way, and we know it's solid because our game's had it for 5 years and it hasn't failed.
Exactly. Yeah. And some of that stuff is just like, you don't need to know that. I'll insulate you from as much of the that kind of nonsense.
It's okay. I'm a grown boy.
I'm gonna protect you, Donnie. I'm gonna protect you from as much nonsense.
It's not me. It's my pinball spirit.
What?
I'm a hardened man.
But I get it. You got a soft jelly like pinball soul.
I think it ties to my backstory. If you go back in the previous episode, maybe it's a soft part of my soul.
Yeah, you could see it in that episode a little bit.
You could see it.
Thank you so much for listening. And don't be a stranger now. Send us your emails at pod@bashpinball.com and check out what we've been up to on Instagram at bashpinball. Next week, we're going to be talking about my recent trip to Pinfest, where I got to play a bunch of new and old games like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Looney Tunes, and The Princess Bride. When I was at Pinfest, the thing that really struck me the most was...
You rule the universe! Leave this territory now. Return to your home.
Evacuate all personnel.